All right. What's good with y'all? What is good? This is the chop up. Looks like we was having some issues with our intro, but it's all good. We here. That's all that's important. Appreciate everybody able to join us. We missed y'all. Toya has been a debate coach extraordinaire over these last few weeks. My dog went to 3 different national championship debate tournaments in a 3 week span. So let's give it up. Let's give it up to the homie. You know what I'm saying?
No applause necessary. I'm
Hey,
just glad that it's over.
man, listen. When people put
Yeah,
in the work that you do, for as long as you put that work in, definitely deserve the recognition. So we always gonna show Toya love, Emmanuel Briggs in the building. But we here. This is the
what's
Chop
up,
Up Show.
family?
This is Chop Up Show. It didn't start out as musical as it typically would, but we still in the building. We gonna get that fixed.
Yeah,
Anyway, Toya, what's good with you?
I'm chilling, yo. We out here. Like I said, debate season is over. Life is continuing in all the best directions, and we feeling good and feeling great about what it's looking like. So, I couldn't bear another week, even though I'm tired. It's a lot going on. I couldn't envision another week without the plug, without the chop up, without the fam. So what's good to everybody. Make sure y'all say what's up when y'all come in here. Hit that thumbs up through the conversation. We finna just have some kind of global, no pun intended, conversations about how things are moving and shaking these days. So
Yeah.
we lit.
Yeah, so I mean today's gonna be more of like a extra read all about it chop. You know what I'm saying? Like we're
Mm-hmm.
going straight
Mm-hmm.
through the news. We got some hip hop news that y'all may not be expecting, but we're gonna get to that shortly. But actually, let's go ahead and start it out with your rundown, Toya, of our newsworthy chop. We're gonna get started with you.
Okay, so first and foremost out the gate, in Ohio, very interesting kind of story that comes out of, I forget what city this was. Let me double check specifically. Ah, in Clark County. We'll say it's in Clark County in Ohio, where this 81-year-old white man and this 61-year-old black woman meet under some really odd circumstances. So much so
Very
that they
strange
calling it
circumstances.
exactly right. The issue of scamming, or that some scamming might be at play. So check it out. This Uber is used. Well, first and foremost, this man is contacted at his home, and he's called multiple times about the fact that one of his relatives has been arrested. Classic story of, we got your relative, you got to pay X amount of money. I think $12,000 was requested in order to get them out. Um, and you need to come on. Then the calls continued, and it's changed from, this is law enforcement, to, this is a ransom situation. We want 12 stacks. You need to have it ready. We're going to come over there and get it from you. And so at the same time, this same number apparently is using the Uber application to contact this 61-year-old woman who, I guess, in Clark County, Uber offers in different areas, they offer like courier services, right? Like pick up and drop off different things for people. And so she just takes this trip, or takes this
This
particular customer
request,
on,
yeah.
yeah, to go pick up this package from this place. And so explains why her dash cam, once she gets to this 81-year-old man's residence, is showing her getting out of the car, walking up to the front door. And then immediately in this video that we're about to watch, actually, I'm going to just let the video play and we can take it from there. And then I'll go ahead and round out, you know what I'm saying, kind of what's going on right now.
All right, let's get it.
Or they might even tell us in the video. Go ahead and play it.
The Hall received directions from the same person or an accomplice, instructing her to go to Brock's home to pick up a package for delivery. Dashcam video from Hall's car shows her arrive to Brock's home to pick up that package. According to reports from the Clark County Sheriff's Office, Brock allegedly had a gun. This video appears to confirm that. The incident report says Brock allegedly took Hall's phone and wouldn't let her leave, and when she tried to go, authorities say Brock then shot Hall. They started fighting, and he shot her 2 more times. Authorities received a call from Brock saying he had shot someone on his property because they were trying to rob him. When units arrived, they found Hall with multiple gunshot wounds, and Brock was bleeding from his head. Hall was flown to Kettering Hospital in Dayton, where she died. Reports say while officials were on scene, Brock's landline phone kept ringing, and when one officer picked it up, The man on the other line said he was an officer, and the real officer explained what happened and asked the caller to meet, and he agreed, but never showed up. We reached out to Uber and they responded with this statement saying in part, quote, "There is no other way to describe this incident than a horrific tragedy. Our hearts continue to be with Lolitha's loved ones as they grieve her sudden loss. We have been in contact with law enforcement and remain committed to supporting their investigation." End quote. Uber also went on to say the account of the individual who ordered the Uber trip has been banned. The sheriff's office is also reminding residents to be extra cautious and that no law enforcement agency or court will call you and demand for bail money over the phone. That goes for any other court functions as well. Reporting in Springfield, Grace Hewitt, 2 News.
All right, so gave y'all some insight on it, but y'all heard the rest of the story. She was shot 3 times. She was fatally wounded. She died at the hospital. And I'm not gonna lie, before we found out it was a scammer situation, I heard about the story and I was like, what the hell? This white man out here just shooting, black women, because we've seen stories about people being in the wrong driveways and being shot. Right. We had a
It
young
just
man in
happened in
Kansas
Kansas
City,
City.
Ralph Yarrow, you know what I'm saying? Yarrow, I think is his last name, who got shot for going to pick up his siblings and, being at the wrong door. And so getting this scammer information, though, plug, is throwing me off because I'm noticing a pattern, right? We have this situation, but we've also seen Uber drivers do weird stuff with their passengers, and we heard about women being trafficked and playing with the locks and the doors and doing all types of things. But then we also seen it vice versa, where riders become belligerent and be attacking drivers and stuff like that, and so it gets real crazy and murky. Questions about food safety and people eating your food and stealing your food and spitting in your food and doing all types of stuff to your food. When you order it from different restaurants, the mere fact that we just get in people's car and be like, "Yep, let's ride."
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
It's weird, right? Because it's like I've always like I don't fall asleep in Ubers. I do not fall asleep in Ubers because
I don't
I don't know
anymore, but
where
I
I'm gonna wake
have.
up. I don't know where I'm gonna wake up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's one of them things where we've allowed convenience, because this goes all the way to like identity theft, all these other types of things. We've allowed like the convenience of technology to put us
Yeah.
in more vulnerable circumstances. You know what I mean?
And
Like this
it's
is how, and the same type of people, like as you can see, this is an older white man that they pulled this on. Cause I remember they used to do this to my great aunt when she was still alive. They
mm-hmm,
used to call her
mm-hmm,
to like telling her all these things to confuse her, and then she ended up giving up like checking information and all of that type of stuff, because older people kind of like really back then struggled with understanding how these scammers work, because you've never had somebody call you giving this information. Now they saying stuff to scare you, right? And so you kind of seeing how this is like reaching another level and how this is playing out, because people are getting scammed, people getting kidnapped, people getting harmed because they putting themselves in these types of situations for convenience. It's like, oh, all I got to do is go on the app and just put this information, and then somebody could just do X. Like, we allow the ease of it and the convenience of it to like really
yeah.
bring down some of the guards and the barriers that we've created to be like, I don't know if this is a like Uber and Lyft and all of that goes against the whole stranger danger concept. The whole do
Everything we've been
not get
taught. Everything we've been taught. Even I
yeah.
mean, from like I have a service. What is it called? Task
For
Rabbit.
Journey.
Task
Oh, Task
Rabbit.
Rabbit. Yeah, Task
Well,
Rabbit.
yeah, and Rover, right? I have
Rover,
Task
yeah.
Rabbit and Rover. Rover, I don't really pick this option. I found me one black lady I really, really like. Shout out to Monique, who stays close to me, who I'll allow in my home to like do the whole come in my house and come check on my dog, as opposed to me sending my dog somewhere else. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not letting, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely am not letting some random person come in, because that just goes against everything we were taught intuitively. But I did use Task Rabbit to like mount my TV. So I got strange people who are just like, I can hang stuff, just coming to my house and being like,
Just
yeah,
pull
let me
up.
put that up
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
But it's cheaper than me asking for the same place that I bought the TV from to come
To
over
put
here
it
and
up.
install the TV and put it up or whatever. And so
Yeah.
we are faced with these challenging questions about whether to make our lives easier, or and whether or not that trades off with our intuition about just random ass people doing stuff
No, it kills our
and
intuition.
with our lives. It
Yeah.
kills it.
It kills our
I guess
intuition.
my question to you is, Like,
Hold on. Miss Ma'am
is
said watching y'all while sitting in the Uber. Hey, we not trying to fear monger. Just, don't go to sleep. Just
not at all. Be
don't go
careful,
to
be
sleep.
safe.
And then some more
Yeah,
of
what's
these.
up, Hood Therapy? Jen
Yup, we got.
J,
Yup.
KJ, Melodious was popping. We got people
Jen
in here talking. Go ahead.
Jen J said, "I fear for my life." All while holding the gun and proceeds to follow and go after the person they're afraid of. And
Oh
this is where
man.
ain't no way y'all gonna be able to distinguish this from any other type of racist act. Yes, the white
Yeah.
man was scammed, but the proclivity for violence that I like to speak of when it comes to kind of white black relations played a role in the degree in which I'm saying this shit took off to. Like the
Yeah.
severity of the incident
Cause I
took place.
guarantee he said ain't no niggas finna come get no money off of you. Sent this lady over
What?
some nigga like what?
What?
That's who
Done
yeah,
for.
who that's who finna get me out of my $12,000. Not me.
Done for.
Couldn't be me.
Done for. But go ahead, Toya. What was your question? Just wanted to make sure everybody in the chat was taken care of. And y'all make sure y'all take care of us. Hit that like button. Thank y'all for commenting and doing all of that. Go ahead, Toya.
I also gotta say, Jen J says somehow us black folks find a way not to kill folks when we get scanned, roles
That's
reversed, and
true.
that lady be under the jail without bail.
We
The
will put your ass
racialization
on a
just can't
Facebook
be
Live
ignored.
though. You will be on an
My
Instagram
lord,
Live or a Facebook Live if you scam a
my
nigga.
my
But
lord.
yeah,
And that's facts. But we are dealing with a situation though, and I think situation after situation where we have compromised our the need for convenience for common sense and vulnerability. And I
mm,
guess my question to you is, do you miss the olden days? You know what I'm saying? Where people have background checks and they Uber say they do background checks and these people say they do this and do that. But
yeah,
we really are trying to just subject to people who haven't taken driving training classes, who haven't had thorough background checks, who are not professional carriers, who don't have insurances that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I guess there are liability, claims
mm.
you can make for certain things, but we just be letting Joe Schmo and them
You just do
orchestrate our
right.
lives.
We just get in this nigga car. It just really.
Is it a sign? Are we lazy or is it a sign of the times? Like, I guess I don't really know how to phrase this question perfectly, but like, is it worth it? You know what I'm
so
saying? Like, what do you think?
like when you ask me about like the olden days, right? I think of it. I think it was this. I think it was the Bone Collector with Denzel when he was a paraplegic.
Mm,
And I forget the white woman actress that played with him in that movie, but
I heard of it, but I ain't seen it. I ain't going front.
so it's a horror or it's like a thriller, and it's about a serial killer that Denzel Washington as a paraplegic is trying to catch, right?
Okay.
And there's a scene in the movie where the couple get into a taxi. Because if we think about what do we do in the olden days when we didn't have a vehicle available and we needed to get somewhere? You called a taxi, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, in that movie, the taxi driver had this thing where he locked the doors and people couldn't get out. You know what I'm saying? And he took them to this underpass, and then he did what serial killers do, right? So for me, that fear had always existed there in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I looked at taxi drivers as strangers. Now it was kind of different because they had the partition because they was like, I want to
Sure.
separate you from me and all of that other shit. But
Absolutely.
I think in the context of Uber, it makes more sense because we already had that type of market. It was just controlled by certain factions and factors, and then all Uber did was allow for it to kind of open itself up. So I think there are reasonable risks that we take all the time, and I would look at like Uber, DoorDash as reasonable risk, even though it does like when it goes wrong, this is the type of stuff that take place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I would say
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is I don't miss the old days. Like the convenience still, it does what it does.
That's fair. I don't know. I mean, I think when it comes to I miss the old days. I think there's a happier medium, right? Like I don't even know. Like I think I like the opportunity to use an app to place my order ahead to come get it, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to bring it to me because you finna charge me $50 more than what I was gonna pay in the first place anyway, and I'm gonna
Anyway,
get a
let's talk
shittier
about that.
product.
Yeah.
If I come to that restaurant and you hand me this bag and I take the time before I pull away to open it up and look in it, or I'm sitting in there and I'm eyeballs are connected. The same thing with like, I mean, think places like Chipotle. We already see how they be skimping on the bowls. They are suspect number one when it comes to
Yeah.
doing your order bad when you order from them online. On top of the delivery fee, on top of this, that, and the other you finna pay, they always skimp when you
Yeah.
play. You know what I'm saying? So I just rather come get it. You know what I mean? Like I kind of don't miss that part. Like, yeah, it is more convenient to get an Uber and to be able to jump in somebody's whip, and so that's the whole thing. But I know a lot of people who've gotten in car accidents. I know people who have been in Ubers that have been people get arrested. Let's not forget about people using other people's accounts for Instacart and
Yeah.
for DoorDash delivery. And so you a young lady and you got some random man coming to your door dropping off food
Getting
under
your
Keisha's
Cash App
account.
information is easy too. Like Cash App, you know what I mean? Like I know a bunch of people that have been routinely and repeatedly had money just gone fooling with Cash App. So yeah, I definitely
So
recognize the point.
I don't think if we didn't know about them, we wouldn't rely on them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I do see the convenience, but I think the awareness of it and the fact that they exist, but it's hard to say because you have so many other bright side success stories about how your life is
Yeah,
positively impacted. You
because of
don't
the
have,
apps.
you decreased drunk driving.
Right.
COVID, you're not going in the store trying to pretend you don't got it. You just Instacart it.
Right.
I am a young single woman who don't know how to mount no fucking flat screen. So I do need you to pull up and come holler at me because
Shit.
the plug all the way in North Hollywood, and I don't know.
But
I don't
look,
need him tearing up my wall. I
that's what I'm
don't need
saying.
you
Look,
to. I believe
I'm a
in you.
married man, and like
Yeah.
I had to feel the disrespect of my wife hopping on the. I think it may have been Task Rabbit. But it was like one of those handyman sites and having somebody
Yeah.
come hang our curtains up straight. Cause I done had a few chances and they ain't always been. And she spent some money on these curtains, so she was like, "I want these
You
straight,
want them
straight."
right. I want them to be
So
right. And so, no
yeah,
disrespect. We appreciate your effort, but when it's all said and done, it's another person without being on payroll at X and Y place that just want to put it up real quick and go on about their business. Call them. Why not?
before
Like, I see it. This is wild.
before we get to the next story though,
Mm-hmm.
I do want to point this out about like this woman getting her life taken. I think I think it's a valid conversation to talk about like the dangers that we put ourselves in when dealing
Mm-hmm.
with these apps and the type of vulnerability we exist under for that convenience. But I also want
Yeah.
to highlight that this is a perfect example of the things that white people don't have to fear. Like more than likely, it was white people that was scamming this white man. But what ended up happening was he got
Mm.
violent with the black woman. That's
Yeah.
more a reflection of how he understands and looks at black people as an old white man. You feel me? Yet the scam put her in that vicinity and put her as a threat. But when you a group of people that's already viewed as a threat, when you got any type of legitimacy, you gonna shoot. Like that's why
Yeah.
we can't stand on somebody's porch. That's why we can't stand in somebody's driveway. That's why they don't take the time to figure out what's going on before they get violent because that is their initial reaction. Right? They view us as, you know what I'm saying, like as an antagonism in their space. So you gonna be
Yeah.
justified by shooting this woman repeatedly, chasing her down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like that. I mean, the report said, and then some other things that I read, like he shot, then they went back and forth, and she was able to run away and move, whatever. He chased her down, shot again. They go back and forth or whatever, whatever. That wasn't enough for him. He shot again. You know what I'm saying? And she hollering, she's screaming. I don't know if y'all heard on the video, help, help, help. She hollering for anybody to help. When you see something like that or know that that's the way somebody lost their life, it really you got to wonder. And these scammers is getting smart. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people question what Uber's, liability is in it and what they could do to avoid things like this. And this, I think, a hard question to ask because you put in numbers, you put in personal information, you purport
Yeah,
yourself to be this person with this intent and with this, willingness to commit to produce this service or to perform this service, and then y'all have that. How do they stop something like that? I don't know, but
yeah,
that's why I don't get paid the big bucks, at least not in this arena. So
yeah.
it's wild. We'll put a pin in this and then slide to this young NBA story. Hopefully, y'all have been paying attention to
You need to
this
say
one
his
out of
name
the
right.
state of Utah. NBA young boy. I don't know what I said. Young NBA
You
man,
said it
whatever.
like an old ass millennial.
I did. But listen, we already told the truth, and I'm gonna tell the truth and shame the devil. I don't know that main song. I don't know no song he ever been featured on. I
Right.
probably have heard something and be like, oh, that's but you would be making a new connection for me today if you was like, that's because like I know his voice. I've laughed at memes and videos and stuff about his character, about the way his personality is, how he carry himself, but I don't. It's not for me. So
Yeah.
NBA young boy, no disrespect intended. in the state of Utah is currently experiencing some legal struggles. He has recently been charged with, I want to say, like 20 counts of procuring or attempting to procure a drug prescription, forgery, identity fraud, and account each of possession of a dangerous weapon by a restricted person, possession of a controlled substance, and pattern of unlawful activity. So, um, in Utah, which is where he has a whole compound, it's like out in the middle of nowhere. It's really kind of fire. I've seen it in a whole bunch of different videos or whatever. Apparently, he done been him and other people who work for him have been scamming and working through these pharmacies to get promethazine and codeine. They've been getting all different types of prescriptions and um, I guess forging doctors' notes and purporting themselves to be doctors and calling and approving certain prescriptions and all types of things. They caught him most recently, and this is, I think, the interaction that sealed the deal on a call where he himself was pretending to be a doctor and gave it away. I guess when he said ax instead of ask, and had the date of birth of one of the people who he was claiming to be a patient, but did not have like a mailing address, a local mailing address, didn't have any other identifying information for this person. So clearly fictitious behavior. He had been being, I guess, surveilled for a while now doing these things. And one of the other things that tipped off law enforcement was a call where I think he was on the phone with some type of law enforcement officer or somebody in that world, and he either thought the call had ended or that he was muted, and proceeded to tell somebody or talk to somebody about picking up a prescription. And they was like, okay, like what's really good.
It's
And
clearly isn't on the up
so,
and up, right? It's clearly isn't on the up and up.
like there's some weird things going on. And so I think you got the article pulled up right
Yeah,
there.
nah. Well, yeah, it's been up for them though. But so
Okay, got you. I'm just not saying it, but
yeah.
what's interesting about this is that he is already on house arrest or was on house arrest when this occurred, and is already facing a felony, a federal weapons gun charge, um, and just had a gun charge dismissed in March. And
And y'all
so
mad
he's
at
been
Cole.
very
And y'all mad at J. Cole. Go ahead, Toya.
listen for having a change of heart. Um, he's also, this is not his first run in with law enforcement. Since 17-year-old, had a record, been doing a whole lot of things. He's been a busy young man. Here's my question. We already know in hip hop there have been many background conversations about this generation's specific proclivity for popping pills, doing drugs, doing heavy drugs, and glorifying it. Do you think this is more of just NBA young boy being NBA young boy? You know, he already has substance abuse issues, is already a criminal, already has a background, all those things? Or do you think that this is a reflection of how bad it is out here for these young artists doing all this crazy shit?
Nah, I think it's
Drug related.
yeah, nah, I think it's him. I think it's him. This is, and the reason why I say I think it's him because it's just stupid decision making. Like y'all supposed to be making all this money off rap. Now, giving y'all some background on NBA YoungBoy, like allegedly, like niggas say niggas think he bigger than Tupac. Like, and no joking, little kids on TikTok have had NBA YoungBoy birthdays. Not Spider
Yeah,
Man, not Baby
yeah.
Shark. NBA
I seen
YoungBoy
it.
birthday. A
I've seen it with my
grown
own children.
man, an adult man, had a NBA YoungBoy birthday.
I also saw that.
Okay, so his popularity means he's doing shows. He's making money. Once you start making rap money, if you're smart and you putting out music that people like, I don't listen to it. But allegedly, it's that popular. Like he makes music that resonates with people that much that you out
Mm-hmm.
here that like you have no reason to still be out here doing stupid scammy shit. This is just bad decision making. Like we gotta stop blaming it on rap. This is just dumb. You feel me?
I mean, I think it reflects two things, two very important things, and I'm gonna
Donnell
take this
said
story and connect it.
real quick. Donnell said, "Take it easy on my Baton Rouge brethren, please." Nah, we gotta bring
Listen,
out the tough love. Go ahead, to you. We gotta bring
no
out the tough love.
disrespect intended. And KJ said I ain't missing nothing, and I didn't think so. Um, but two things that I kind of think about when I think about the decision making of NBA YoungBoy is that while this is particularly disappointing, it's not different and it's not unique in the sense that for whatever reason, these celebrities I don't know if it's a commitment to living their lyrics. I don't know if it's just, I really think it's because they ain't rich as we think they are and that they want us to
Mm,
think. And so they really do have to get out here and commit these crimes and do this shit themselves. It ain't really as much a glorifying the lifestyle, but once you get done paying this, it's just like athletes. Once they get these contracts, but then they get done paying this person, that person, this person, that person, this person, that person, the money they got for themselves ain't really all that. So they got to keep it moving somehow, just like we want a residual or not a residual income, but a residual income as well as money that makes itself
man, passive income.
um a passive income, right? That's this they out here like if I just do this a little bit, yeah, I'm gonna go do the shows, I'm gonna do this experience, do that experience, but I gotta keep this money moving somehow. So that's the first thing out the gate. The reality, the other big crime story, I won't call it a crime story, but a law story that's been out of hip hop this week is Glorilla. Glow in a
Getting
whole
it
different context, but
Yeah,
still the
Glow.
same thing, drinking and driving. You know what I'm saying? So you got too much money to do this yourself.
Yeah.
Like young boy, why you ain't distance far away from that as you possibly can be, masterminding it, you behind the scenes on it, but you got some little dumb niggas that's silly as you are and willing to get with it and about that business, doing this type of shit like that without a connection to you and without a way to bring it back to you. Instead, you the one calling the pharmacy? Like,
That nigga ain't
bruh, you're
smart.
not getting it how you getting it, or you dumber than you think you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand how dumb you are. And then the second thing in terms of Glow is just like, bruh, ride services, Uber, ironically enough,
All of
Lyft,
this, yeah,
but
all of that.
also you got like,
You can
why do y'all
afford
put
Uber
yourselves
Black.
in a
You can
position?
get you in a whole, you know what I'm saying, Lincoln Continental pull up. You can be all kind of drunk and behind that up.
What I will say, and I do got to be honest about this, she was caught doing something that everybody does. She just so
Yeah,
happened to be faded. She did
yeah,
get pulled over, not for doing some drunk shit, not for drinking, not for causing an accident, not for swerving, whatever. She just made an
yeah.
illegal U-turn, a U-turn at a
Luckily,
red light. And exactly, luckily, fortunately, not hurt nobody, but made a U-turn at a red light, which we've all done. Ain't nobody coming. It's quiet out here. All right, bet
yeah,
it's the middle of the night. We'll go ahead and hit this hoe real quick and go. And then she got popped out on, and and it was exposed that she was jumped in. But still, everything could be avoided if you just use the money you got, or do you got it or not? And if
yeah.
not, then why do we play these
But you,
games?
but that's the thing though. Like I think, well, we could question whether or not they actually got the money, but then you got niggas like Diddy. Why are you sex trafficking, bro? Like why are you like
Yeah,
why are you like what is it? You know what I'm saying? Like it already like the celebrity status already brings things, certain pleasures. You feel me? That become available. I guess I
mm,
don't understand like why take it to another level when most like when we talk about crime in the first place, it has to do with the lack. Like niggas like really in the hood like. And that's why
yeah,
it's always crazy when niggas in the hood see kids with potential. They recognize that. You know what I'm saying? Like niggas are like
yeah,
the niggas that raised me, the drug dealers was always like, oh yeah, we know you ain't gonna have to do this. And the crazy thing about it, they was like my brother probably, so they was like cool with him in a way, which was weird, but it was like, nah, nigga, you stay away, cause you the one that's gonna make it out the hood. And it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? Like they recognize the potential, but it's just like this is the life that they live. When niggas like when you was in crime when you was 17, but now you 24, 25, and you got millions off of, and he underground too. And this is why I was talking about his build, like his following, because when you got an underground following, you can make more money than a lot of these signed rappers anyway. Tech
Yeah,
Nine is one of the most respected rappers in hip hop. Period. Niggas will tell you that's the underground goat.
we can.
Independent. Independent. Niggas got all you
Mm-hmm.
can develop an independent following and get your own bread to where you ain't breaking shit off. So the constant need and desire to like what Donnell say in the chat, considering like them wanting to live that life, it like I for me it's like actually coming from that and like actually being considered making it out of that, like replicating that would be is like beyond me. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like replicating what it is that I literally escaped. It don't make sense.
That's, I mean, Melodious said, I mean, a statement I agree with. I think, I also think that this new generation is feeling like they must live for the life of for live the life for authenticity. They rise higher than anyone and fall so much further. Give me privileged rappers any day. Yes. You know what I'm saying? People who, the rich kid rap, like I'll take that all day long if you're not out here trying to pretend and purport that
Yeah.
you're still out there doing something that you used to do and whatever, whatever.
To
You
save
love a
you.
good story. Yeah, you know what I mean. But I don't nothing. And it's so weird. It's this black dude. I don't know. He be on LSU's campus and he be asking just random students passing by like, what's something that's get your black car stolen, or what's your underrated, who's underrated, what's an underrated opinion, or what's an overrated opinion, or whatever. And it was this dude who straight up and walked out was like, uh my whatever opinion is that R&B is overrated. I don't listen to that shit. I just like shoot 'em up, bang bang. I just like that kill rap. I like that shit. That shit is what gets me going to and you just be like, first of all, you look like a damn accountant major. You know what I'm saying? You on the way to the business school.
Right.
Somebody around you pronounce they INGs and they EDs and
Very clearly.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you're
Very clearly.
what is this? But this is the culture that they have to latch on to, not a nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, let's not sound old. Generationally, there are all rappers who was with that shit and that have the influence, but it just seems like it's the market for it is
The face of gangster rap.
tainting. It's
And
just tainting in so many more unique and prolific ways than it was before. I don't know.
the
Maybe not. Maybe
the
not.
last thing
Maybe
I
not.
the last thing I say before we get to the next one. The face of gangster rap was like Dr. Dre, like it Ice
Mhm.
Cube, NWA. There was only one real gangster in the whole group, and that was Eazy-E. So it's like, yo, all of that, like we know that now that corporations are able to market and make fungible, right, make turn into
Mhm.
capital, the experiences of blackness. All you got to do is sell the experience.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do is sell the experience. You don't have to actually do like, yeah, if you came up from that, cool. But y'all, to all the young rappers, just sell the experience. Save your life. Save your life. You feel
Yeah.
me? If y'all gonna be putting other niggas' lives in danger, encouraging the shit, at least, you know what I mean? But yeah, so but we feel sorry for young boy, but it's like, come on, like these young niggas need to learn a lesson. But yeah, let's continue.
KJ said we need to bring more soul music to these younger people, even smooth R&B. They don't sing about nothing no more. Like it's so
Nothing.
many
R&B
songs.
is except women.
Poopy.
Women are running the R&B game these days. Like
Women
it's
are running
period.
black music right now. But KJ said, I hope his kids are okay. He got 50, 11 of them. I hope all of them are doing all right and will be
Yes.
fine with his father for their father for a while because he been out here bugging.
Bugging.
Last story, New York State. The city of New York, Donald Trump is on trial facing a lot of different charges. I think for his attempt to like fraudulently pay his way out of some shit. What is it? What's the
This
charges
is
he got
this
going?
is this is the one and only Donald Trump criminal case that will take place before the election. It is the Stormy Daniels hush money case in
That
Manhattan, being prosecuted by District Attorney Alvin Bragg. All right.
yeah.
And so this is where he is when he at the beginning of the election when he wanted to pay off Stormy Daniels. He had his then fixer / attorney Michael Cohen
Mm-hmm.
make a payment out to legal expenses, but it was actually hush money that was sent to Stormy Daniels to shut her up about her sleeping with the new president. And so once they looked at the books and saw that they was lying on shit, then
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump was charged. This is his hush money trial.
Well, there it is. So we'll kind of cut through this quickly because while this trial was going down, and it has been going on for the past week. They've
Yes.
been having different proceedings all ever since Monday. On today, a man set himself on fire near the courthouse while Trump is on trial. Let's go ahead and watch this video real quick, get the whole scoop on what the hell happened today because that shit is crazy.
At 100 Center Street, where the trial of former President Trump is currently taking place. We observe a male walk into the park. From the book bag, he takes numerous pieces of papers, pamphlets out. He throws the pamphlets throughout the park, and then he pulls out a canister and pours some kind of liquid on himself, a liquid we believe is an accelerant, and he lights himself on fire. Civilians, court officers, members of the police department, they run into the park. They make efforts to put him out. They use their coats, they use fire extinguishers. Eventually, FDNY responds. We're able to extinguish the fire. And from that point, we will remove him to a Cornell burn unit, where right now he's there in a critical condition.
Wild times, right? So, excuse me, I hear this,
Uh,
and
don't worry about it, you ain't listening
we're not
to
worried about Catherine and Rory right now. We're worried about what's going on in New York, with this person who has set himself afire, and apparently pamphlets were thrown out. Now, he is said to be some type of conspiracy theorist, has a lot of different issues with the government in general and also financial institutions, and was making proclamations about that and kind of going on back and forth. Uh, Making those types of statements as he self-immolated. My question is, one, do you buy that? Because I want to see some. I don't want to see video of him burning. We've already seen some of that. That's already floating around. But like, I feel like maybe he's a Trump supporter. I really want to know what. I want to know specific details. I want to see some pamphlets. I want to know what he's on. Cause like,
yeah.
bro, what? Like, what's your read on this? What's your first reaction? What's your first thought process
One,
when you see
it's
this
without a
happening?
it's without a doubt a Trump supporter. The reason why I'm saying it's without
I'm not.
and I
That's what
want
I'm
y'all
trying
to
to figure
pull
out
up
how.
and I
Don't
want
play
y'all to
me.
pull up and tell me I'm wrong when I'm wrong though. Like so like if I'm wrong, but like one, he's a conspiracy theorist. Okay, framing somebody conspiracy theorists. Most conspiracy theories are not standing for, or not riding with no goddamn Democrats right now. Right,
Yeah.
like they believe in the accusations of the deep state. They initially was attracted to Trump because he was an outsider, and as he began to fail and be called out by institutions, him being called out by institutions actually validate a lot of the things that they believe about him because again they're willing to believe that he's being persecuted. So when we look at
Mm-hmm.
instances of self-immolation, it's similar to the instance of self-immolation with the that happened with the Palestinian protester. It has to do with kind of a last ditch effort to get attention to a group that's being persecuted behind the scenes. Like nobody cares. And the only
Mm-hmm.
people who believe that Donald Trump is being persecuted are Trump supporters. And so you tell me he a conspiracy theorist, I'm telling you he a Trump supporter. Conspiracy theorists are like one of their biggest claim to fame right now was George Soros and the Democrats and the globalist agenda of the Democrats.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
they're not burning themselves to it like to condemn Donald Trump, or especially not doing it in favor of Joe
I mean,
Biden.
the spin that we saw when we watched this, I think the CNN video that we had before is that all of this is a goal to just commandeer the media attention and to take advantage of the fact that our eyes are pointing and looking at this trial that's happening. But I don't, none of this, the time is not coincidental. If you want to get somebody's attention, set yourself on fire. If you don't, if the camera's not already there, they're gonna be there. They're gonna come. They'll be in a 2024 society where everybody got a camera phone. You don't need to take advantage of a hot ticket, big stage platform or opportunity. You just have to exist and do what you're gonna do. People gonna see it, and people are going to figure out what's going on with it the same way they did with the Palestinian protesters. So you're only gonna take advantage of this week for one reason. You're gonna end this week with a bang, no pun intended, and you are doing that because you feel like your martyr, or not your martyr, but the person, your leader, your savior,
And
is being is
is
being
being persecuted.
prosecuted.
Yeah.
He's being ironically he's being
Be
prosecuted and
prosecuted.
persecuted.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
like that, and you
yeah.
don't like that.
And
And so that's
and
the only logic that makes sense to me.
and also let's
And
not
last
forget.
thing I want to say, real quick,
Yeah.
not even nothing crazy, but just what's up to Marcel. I feel like Marcel, the last little family member that jumped in here and said what's up. So I want to say what's up to Marcel. It was good.
Shout out to Marcel. And the last thing I say on this is let's not forget Donald Trump been begging for protesters to come out there,
Mm-hmm.
begging, and there have been none. No one has showed up at the Manhattan courtroom in support of Donald Trump. All right, and so this, you got other people that's looking out there like, well, if nobody else is going to support Mr. Trump, I'm going to burn
I'll
myself up
do it
for it. Yeah, yeah, have fun.
anyway.
Right.
That's my little real quick, just what's been going on in the news. Really quick synopsis of what's been tearing up my timeline. A whole bunch of other things too, but hopefully these conversations about what's happening in Ohio, what's happening with NBA YoungBoy, and what's happening in New York State and New York City with this Trump trial, keep you paying attention because it's wild times out here. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about transitioning to the next chop, we're gonna call this the World War III chop. Uh, because it's like that's what we looking at. All right. So if anybody was paying attention to any screens, watching anything on your phone, anything where you get alerts, you were notified that last night Israel, or well, at least you were notified last night that Iran had some explosions that was taking place in one of its major areas near one of its nuclear facilities. Not close enough to do damage, but there were these explosions that were said to have taken place. All right. If you
Yeah.
like me, which I hope most of y'all are, this Chop Up, this Chop Nation. So, we all have a similar way of thinking about certain things. I'm immediately like war. It's war. Like
Yeah.
one, if we give some background behind why this attack took place in the first place. Now we know that Iran and Israel have been beefing since the Iranian Revolution. All right, late 70s. So we
Late
up here.
70s.
Yeah, so we up here like, all right, we know y'all not cool. It's like people winning peace awards. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out peace between these folks. You feel me?
Right.
And but more recently, it's been contentious, but not as contentious as it has been in the past. But regardless, whenever we have any conversation about like any fighting in the Middle East, the brain of the common individual is war. Because we've been in a perpetual state of war in the Middle East for damn near now 3 generations. It's kids that were born and turned into adults, and at that whole time there was some type of war or conflict going on in the Middle East.
Absolutely.
So that's where my brain jumps to. Is it wrong? Let me ask you this before we before I ask you this, provide the background of what's going on. A few weeks ago, there was a Israeli airstrike in Syria. That Israeli airstrike killed 3 Iranian generals. A week later, which would be like a couple weeks later, which is like last Saturday, Iran retaliated on that strike and bombed a couple Israeli bases just out of nowhere. Boom, boom, drone strikes, missiles. Nobody. There was no actual casualties. It wasn't on any. Civilian population, but
They said they took out like an Air Force base, basically, but a lot of Israeli missiles were able to take out a lot of the drones and stuff like that, and deflect a lot of the stuff that was being sent from Iran anyway. So it was not a failed mission, but not as successful as maybe they would have assumed.
Right. It's like what they're doing is they're doing the tit for tat strikes that's allowed by the UN. Right. Just the UN can't stop all aggression, but they like y'all can play footsies. Y'all can play footsies with military bases, right?
Sure.
And oddly enough, well, not even oddly enough, the United States, knowing Israel wanted to be like, yo, we got to strike back. You know what I'm saying? Like they hit us, we got to hit them back. We can't be no bitches. The United States is like, check this out. Y'all killed they people, so they did what they did. We will not support a retaliatory strike against Iran.
Right.
All right. Joe Biden, the Biden administration made that clear. We will not support. And they put it in the media. Biden and them wanted niggas to know, like, yo, what they own, we not own. Right? Because they already getting a lot of smoke because of the genocide that's happening. So it's like, when it comes to pushing for World War III, we're not going to involve ourselves in that. Hey, and if y'all appreciate the dialogue and conversation, make sure y'all hit that like button. If you done pulled up and you ain't said nothing in the chat, make sure you say something in the chat. Say what's up to the folks.
See you later, Miss Ma'am. Love you, love you, love you. And have a great therapy session.
Oh, for sure. Have a great session. For sure. So we get to a point where the United States is saying, we not rocking with you on that. If y'all strike, y'all on your own. Straight up. While China and Russia, they like, yo, any defense of Iran that's necessary as they engage in this little conflict of their own, we gonna be there. We got they back. So Europe, try some shit if you want to. United States, try some shit if you want to. They have backup, right? So of course, during an election season especially, Joe Biden ain't about to be no war hawk with Iran. Cool, y'all don't do that, right? Don't do that.
They got too much support.
So what Israel does, Israel chooses to be like, you know what? We're going to retaliate, but it's going to be, some footsies. It's going to be some footsies, all right? Let's get into let's get into the actual the article. that kind of explained it. And where it says muted reactions to Israeli strikes, this is why it's like the forces that the powers that be is saying it's not that big of a deal, right? We really shouldn't trip too much off of it, right? Because uh, what it says here, the Israeli military struck Iran early on Friday, according to 2 Israeli and 3 Iranian officials, in what appeared to be Israel's first military response to Iran's attack last weekend, but one whose scope, at least initially, appeared to be limited. They ain't come out swinging like that. They play footsies, right? So when they talk about a
Right.
muted reaction, and the reason why they think it's more of a because I'm confused because y'all saying this is like a de-escalation, but they attacking each other's military bases. The reason why they think it's a de-escalation is because it says the Iranian official said that a strike had hit a military base near the city of if Isfahan. Isfahan. We cultured here at the Chop Up. Isfahan in central Iran. Initial reaction in both Israel and Iran was muted. What does that mean? What is a muted reaction? Tell you, we 2000s babies, not 2000s babies,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
2000s teenagers. So like
Yes.
we was able to like recognize all of the Middle East beef, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time some shit popped off in the Middle East, one of them Middle Eastern countries pop up and be like, it's on. It's
Yeah.
on. This attack will not be tolerated. This aggression will not be tolerated. We
What's
pulling up.
up?
Let them know.
Yeah.
Retaliation is required and necessary.
Imminent.
You know what I'm saying?
Imminent.
And we put that on the Quran.
Yeah. Huh.
They not playing, right? But
Look.
it's been all day, and there hasn't been any retaliatory. There hasn't been any dangerous rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? No war-based rhetoric coming from either sides.
Yeah.
All right, coming from either sides. So this is making people in the State Department think, okay, maybe they kind of flexing a little bit, but they not really trying to go to war like that. One of the key statements that helped us kind of realize this is what's going on is one of the military leaders straight up was just like, if this shit was foolish. This was weak and ineffective. You feel me? Most of their missiles we knocked down, and they really only knocked down some buildings or some shit like that. All right, so they kind of took it and was like, like a little kid punching you in the face. It's like, oh, that's cute, right? If y'all gonna keep doing this little cute shit, we ain't even worried about y'all, right? So that has the U.S. State Department and other leaders thinking like, okay, they not trying to go to full blown war and blow some shit up, all right? Which gets us to my initial question, which was, are we tripping when we hear that Middle East violence, that missile strikes in the Middle East talk, and niggas start thinking World War III? Are we tripping? Like, is it an overreaction? Is it some conspiracy shit? Like, nah, where you at?
I mean, yes and no. I think that as much as there's so much more that would go into us being in a full world war, there is enough cause and overlap of interest and participants, right? For example, China. Am I tripping that Russia or China has explicitly said that they'll support Iran and
Yeah,
whatever attempts they
Russia
have to
and
defend
China.
themselves?
Yep,
Yeah,
Russia and China.
against,
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So you got those parties in it. You have a lot of other turmoil happening. You have Israel already in a very defensive decision because they're dealing with attacks and confrontation, rather, from Hamas. They're dealing with who is it above them or next to them that they beefing with? I forget what other country they're beefing with, like to the north or one of their borders or whatever. They got a lot of stuff going on, and the United States has a lot of decisions to make. And then from there, allies of some of these countries who are playing a role in these things have decisions to make. And so the propensity is on the table. But I also feel like there are other things that will justify that and will encourage that type of response to what's happening right now, that won't necessarily jump to a World War III, even if it's not the most pleasant of scenarios. Like my first thought process, because I texted you or we started texting each other last night, but I'm like, bro, you hear about war? I don't know who brought up what's happening with Iran and the attacks there, but the NPR interrupted the news to be
yeah.
like,
No, I think I sent you a
hello,
text.
with a BBC update.
Yeah. I think I sent you the
Yeah,
text.
somehow we end up talking. Somehow we end up talking about them. Like, man, this is serious. Like BBC done jumped on in the middle of NPR to like break down everything that's going on. And one of the things they started talking about was gas prices and how gas prices are going to be expected to get increasingly higher. If y'all didn't know, we in Southern California, and on the light side down the road, they charging 509 for my gallon of gas. So
Five
it's already
dollars.
wicked out here. You're not impressed by that. I'm assuming. Yeah, and so that's a shame already. So in terms of the implications on the United States, I think we're not gonna come out unscathed. I don't know if it's World War III dimension, but it's
Mm.
not like we're gonna just be living good while these countries in the Middle East continue fighting, and you already got fighting in Russia and Ukraine where oil is already coming from, and you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a
Yeah.
lot of shit that will not make life in the United States any easier when these conflicts continue.
I think when we, because I think it's valid. Like what you're saying is true. Like I don't think that, like, even I was just looking through some updates. China's calling for a de-escalation, right? So China's like, yo, I'm with Iran, but let's not do that. You feel me? So like that's productive. But I do think though, when we mention World War III, I think it's more of a question of uh how is this going to involve us, like regular fucking people, like the conflict
Mhm.
between Israel and Israel, because we know that the conflict between Israel and Iran is like a proxy conflict. Like the Israel is a United States proxy in the Middle East, and Iran is a representation of the
Mhm.
like the traditional. What Iran will argue is the traditional culture of the area, right? The traditional Islam, right? Being like
Mhm.
we are the face of Islam in the land of Islam. You feel me? And so
Mhm.
like when we trying to figure out like why this type of shit matters to us, the one way for sure is war and all the things that war implicates, like you said, gas prices and, you know what I'm saying, everything else. And then, war in 2024 look,
The stock market,
the stock market, all of that. But
all
as they
types of
say,
shit.
it's money in war though. It's money in war. So
True.
you can see, so they that could you can see the stock market boom, but it's just like prices for shit. It's just another reason to price gouge. It's just another reason to add on to how much it take to get something because some conflict is happening somewhere else. And so I think that
Mhm.
like that's why I feel like a lot of the responses that we heard as a part of this were so disconnected because everyday people got to worry about how it's going to impact their everyday lives. And I ain't even fully up on game on this shit. Only reason I'm
Yeah.
understanding that Iran, not me, but just like the normal person, is like the only reason I'm understanding what's going on with Iran and Israel is because it's popping up on my news feed and every day. So it must be important if they telling me about it. But how does it
Yeah.
impact my everyday life? Like for niggas in the hood especially, how does it impact? You know what I'm saying? How
The
we
question.
move, exist, and how we live, and in a lot of ways, it's gonna hurt us in the pocket, and it's gonna hurt us in ways that deal with how we survive. And that's why I wanna
Mhm.
speak to some of the responses that we got from some politicians immediately after it happened. Right, you got a nigga like Ricky, or I was about to call that nigga Ricky Rubio, Marco Rubio.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Nah, I got much more respect for Ricky Rubio than Marco Rubio. Uh,
You wild.
it's without a doubt.
What's
But
up, Identity with Hell? What's up, Made Premium? What's good? What y'all thank y'all for popping
yo,
in. But
and
what did Marco Rubio say? My bad.
Marco Rubio. So these Iranian attacks, the Israeli attacks on Iran took place on the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran, his birthday. So Ricky Rubio
Mhm.
posts. I say Ricky Rubio. Marco Rubio posts. The Ayatollah is having a blast for his birthday. It's like, okay, stupid dumb pun aside,
Yeah,
Nick, this is shit that has global fucking implications. And it's
you
like
got
that
jokes.
type of, and you got jokes like that type of the Ayatollah's having a blast for his birthday. Like those type of jokes just show you the disconnect between politicians who want to push their rhetoric, who want to push their platforms and push their talking points, and the regular people who got to worry about how this is going to impact how they able to get back and forth from where they live. You know what I'm saying? Because once the price of gas go up, the price of public transportation go up, the price of
Yeah,
everything else go up, and we trying to worry about how we gonna like again make it day to day, and you're making it more difficult in the ways in which you choose to antagonize another global power. You know what I'm saying, on social media, not even in a way that's just that's effective at all. Like this is motherfuckers just grandstanding. You got Democrats who choose to go ahead and just run with the same. Israel has a right to defend itself, ignoring all context of the situation.
and the fact that
Ignoring all
this
context.
doesn't even fit the context of that statement or that
It
situation. But
Because if that's the
Yeah.
case, Iran had a right to defend itself when they generals got killed.
When they went literally on the embassy, you know what I'm saying, and acted a fucking fool.
So all right, and then you have other Republicans, the Trump supported Republicans, who just immediately come out and make statements about how this would never happen under Donald Trump. This would never happen under like again, just make it about campaign rhetoric. None of it connected to the concerns of the people that actually vote for these motherfuckers.
Of course not.
None of it. Now, this is what when we've come into this area where we have a lot to say about politicians we don't rock with, I always have to ask the question, what would your ideal politician do? Right? And in this case, my question to you, Toya, is how would your ideal politician respond to the news that broke last night?
Well, I don't make a habit out of having ideal politicians,
Well,
but
you should get
I
into that
don't.
habit.
Well, sure. Don't play games with me. But what I'm saying is, because you know what I meant when I said that. However, um, the politician, the only response is thoughts and prayers to any Iranian lives that were lost during the attack from Israel to Iran. Right? Like if you just have to post something, if you just really need to get on and say a word to your constituents who are rightfully concerned because all of these war things are happening because Israel continues to be at the center of conversations about conflict. So it makes sense to want to like talk to the people about what's happening internationally since all eyes have been on international stages since Ukraine and Russia. Makes complete sense. So if you got to say something, prayers to any Iranian lives. War is never
Joe
the
in the building.
preferred, move. I don't know. It ain't got to be long. Just if you got to say something, just talk about the fact that people are dying
Yeah.
and acknowledge that because regardless of who's doing what or behind what or whose fault it is or who's next or whatever the hell everybody else is caring about,
Acknowledge the
war
people that's getting
kills
stepped
people.
on. Yeah.
War kills people.
At the bottom, specifically.
Acknowledge that. Period.
At the bottom, specifically. Um, I would have to say, I don't think I wouldn't want my politician to say shit at all.
A word.
Because you gotta like Marco Rubio
Preferably.
had his tweet out before there was any information. Like he probably was briefed on more than regular people, but just like as it was just like explosions heard, Marco Rubio's like making jokes about the shit, and it's like again we don't know if people didn't die, like like we don't know like what circumstances didn't have to transpire from these explosions, but just the knee-jerk reaction, and the knee-jerk reaction to defend Israel, the knee-jerk reaction to make it about the election. Shut up, like take a step back. You feel me? Like it don't you. It's like you're.
I
not,
mean, but
it's
you
like
gotta.
they
I
got
think
FOMO. It's like they gotta say something, or they feel like they missing out, and it's like no, like like the first person to speak up usually ain't saying the most intelligent shit. The first person to speak up usually ain't really contributing a lot, especially when ain't a lot of data out there. Go ahead.
Well, there are two things that I observed. One, I feel like it's very sad that there are some politicians who want all the power and the abilities and the benefits that come with being a politician, but don't understand that they can no longer act like private citizens. You know what I'm saying? And I think conservatives had this the worst, and we've seen it 1,000 times with uh Marjorie Taylor Greene and the crazy things she says, or Lauren Boebert in a theater smoking a vape or with these tweets. You know what I'm saying? Like you are not a private citizen. You are a leader, a delegate, a representative. You have constituents. You have the responsibility to just give a shit about how you use things like social media. And then I also think too, the second thing that I observe here is that you see the insatiable desire and the insatiable appetite to like get them likes up. You know what I'm saying? Just like a regular social media user, you just want the gratification and the satisfaction of the same narrow-minded dumbass bigots that you cater to lighting your shit up. You just want to see the lights run up. It's a cathartic, fulfilling experience to do. There's something satisfying and gratifying for you to just say something that the same shallow-minded, dumbass, dense people that you depend on to win your position in this place in the first place, they're gonna clock in every time. So something happens, you like, they gonna love this. Send, and then you get that euphoria, you get that rush. Like,
get them likes. Yeah. Social media is addictive
another
like that now.
another banger. You know what I'm saying? And so that's really how sick
addicted
it
to
is,
them
because
notifications.
when the average person say dumb shit, it don't mean nothing. When you
Yeah.
say it, it has implications. It shapes, it demonstrates,
Policy.
it calcifies. You know what I'm saying? It further entrenches the Islamophobia,
Yeah.
the the imperialism, the investment to warfare, like all of these very big, larger ethical, value based, and moral issues that we're trying to grapple with. You become an amplifier for all the
Right.
bullshit about it. You know what I'm saying? And
Espe-
you don't give a shit about that.
especially when it comes to shit like Iran, that like everything is couched in propaganda. The same way you
Yeah.
propagandize China, the same way you propagandize Russia, like the way that these like national identities are created and turned into enemies. It's the same thing that y'all got with Iran, and it again, it doesn't create any incentive for us. But when shit go left, we deal with the consequences the most.
That part.
Like that's what like that like, and I think that's what's the most frustrating about like these the type of politicians that have no problem antagonizing war, because y'all gonna make sure y'all kids don't go though. You gonna make sure your kids is in the office somewhere, even if they do get enlisted.
That part.
If shit go left, you and your family gonna be protected, and you got ways to protect it. You know what I mean? And so like this disjointed, disconnected approach that antagonizes the situation instead of being more peaceful. It's like these people don't need to be in power. Now the last question, speaking of being in power and who needs to be in power,
Mm-hmm.
we got a couple months. Biden versus Trump, the rematch.
Mm-hmm.
Who does this conflict benefit more in November? Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
I believe in November, this conflict benefits neither of them, but Joe Biden, I think,
Mm.
just because he then has another conflict to navigate, to redeem himself with, to grandstand on, and to potentially kind of work within to show that he's not genocide Joe, that he's not just out here letting the bombs free fly through the world. And, like, so I think when you have another conflict, you get to re-narrate, you get another chance. And the more, every communication scholar and theorist will tell you that when you are attempting to persuade an audience, primacy and recency are the things you depend on. Your first response to something, right, which is a commitment to Israel and our relationship to them, but then also recency. Your last words really, really matter right before the big moment and the big finish, because the audience is going to remember the last thing they heard as well. And so you have the benefit of, staying invested to Israel and the commitments of the United States and that allyship and this and that with the first conflict.
But
And with this conflict,
mm-hmm.
you get to have the benefit of recency and walk away saying that this is not, these are deep, serious questions about how we respond to nuanced approaches that don't take a cookie cutter approach, but really look at what's necessary. And with Iran, we draw these lines, in Israel, and you get to go and be a spin master. You know what I'm saying? In debate, we used to talk about the spin you
Right.
put on the argument, before the debate is over. And so I think that's what Joe is going to get away with and benefit from.
Nah, I don't know. I'm kind of split. I'm kind of split 50-50 because I think like what you're saying is true. Is if Joe Biden keeps up this Iran chill or Israel chill, like we not supporting no just random strikes like blindly like that, like he did. I think if he keeps up those type of talking points and that type of stance toward Israel, I think he has a chance. I mean, polls are showing that he's surging in most battleground states. So it's like you're starting to see people, like to your point, the polls are starting to show that Joe Biden is becoming more favorable the longer the Palestinian Israeli conflict drew out. Like when they first heard it, boom, he was down, he dropped.
Yeah,
But
terrible.
as it's drawn out and more things have happened and our memories and minds become inundated with just more foolishness, you know what I'm saying, in the political landscape. I think it like you said, him being the voice of reason and pushing back against Israel, trying to have conflict with Iran.
Yeah, he
I
done got
think,
him a humanitarian aid over there, honey. He
yeah,
done been gotten mad at them and shamed them for not letting the aid get over there like it
right,
should. He done had
right,
different ports and routes opened up to get the aid over there, but he wanted to make clear that we sending it over there to assist with the bombs. We also told you can go ahead and send.
right,
So
right.
you deal with that what
And
you will, but you at the same time.
and people, and because they also they could also argue that the reason why the Israeli strike against Iran was so weak was because Israel knew the United States wouldn't back it up like that. if they did something that really required Iran to retaliate. So I think in that stance that's true, but I think any like conflict, especially just attached to Israel, can still work against them because this shit could like something could always go left. Benjamin Netanyahu cannot be trusted. Like when
No.
it's already been said multiple times that once that man leaves office, he's going to jail, going to
Yeah.
some world court. You know what I'm saying for war crimes. It's going to happen, and so being connected to Benjamin Netanyahu at all can still lead to a drop in um, popularity.
Approval ratings and
Popularity, yeah.
popularity.
While Donald Trump is kind of consistent in what he's doing, because again though, even Donald Trump isn't the biggest threat to Joe Biden. Is low voter turnout. If people are so turned off by what's happening in the Middle East that they don't show up at all in November. So I think it's tough to tell right now. Right now, I will say so far with his stance, like what you said on the aid and providing the and telling them straight up, we do not support no real strike like that. I think that is what's making him be seen as more favorable recently. But Benjamin Netanyahu is a wild card and could really put him in a messed up position. So
I see. I mean, I see the vision. We're gonna see in November, and this is amongst a whole lot of different issues. People trying to mediate and figure out what is the most important to them and prioritize by then too. So, who knows even how much these wars, especially since we are not being directly implicated in them, will really register as key voting issues when it's all said and done. But for right now, it's on the hearts and the minds of many. So, shit, we gonna see. Hopefully, it's not World War III. Hopefully, all of us are wrong. But like I said, and will contend, we will still feel the reverberations of these conflicts, whether we realize and connect them to those or not.
all right, man. Well, thank y'all for joining us on this Friday.
And what's up to Andrea? You came in, family popped in toward the end. We definitely got to say what's up to you. Definitely
Oh
great to
yeah,
have you back in the mix.
for sure, y'all. Whatever you missed, just go ahead and hit that replay once we get up out of here, Andrea. But with that, man, we definitely had to address what happened last night, and glad to have Toya back, chilling.
Always,
You know what I'm
always,
saying?
always, always.
Big kicking it. So, until next time, until next Thursday, this is the chop up, and we gonna see y'all on the side. Peace.
Holla at y'all. Be easy.
Boom.